Progressives are losing confidence in their own party. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren writing in a recent New York Times op-ed warning that Democrats, if they don't deliver on their party's agenda, they are headed for big losses in the midterms. Warren also writing, quote, Democrats win elections when we show we understand the painful economic realities facing American families and convince voters we will deliver meaningful change. Jonathan, I'll start with you because she seems to get it. People are suffering right now with this 8.5% inflation, and the longer it goes on, the more pain they're going to feel. Yet you've got an administration that essentially is looking the other way. My view on this is that they're just trying to pass as much spending, as much policy change as they can before the midterms, when they realize and recognize the tide will turn.
Absolutely. I mean, the Democrats are doing everything they can to sort of save this election. And it's very interesting. I mean, for once, perhaps in my life, I can say Senator Warren and I agree on something, that Democrats are headed for painful losses this midterm election. And unless they do something drastic, they're just not going to see the light of day after this election. Yeah, I will say this, you know, she goes through this intricate analysis of what the Democrats need to do. There's some so-called secret sauce of how to convince the American voter that the Democrats understand the economic realities they face. I have a message to the senator. What matters most is doing right by the American people, doing right by the voters.
Right.
That's how you win elections, by doing right by voters. There's no secret sauce. And the fact is, the truth of the matter is, the Democrats have done wrong by the American people. They've done wrong by the American people in foreign policy. They've done wrong by the American people when it comes to crime prevention and crime control. They've done wrong by the American people when it comes to border security. And I can go on and on and on. But the secret sauce is that there's no secret sauce. Do right by the American people,
and you won't
win
have
elections.
a problem. Right. And, you know, she's kind of a hypocrite, too, in writing this, essentially saying we're trying to understand, you know, what you're going through. Well, she's part of the far left of the party, you know, that has devised some of the ideas that we've seen be pushed along here that are causing so much pain for people. And so now when it comes to election time, that's always when everybody changes their view because they want to win elections. And now all of a sudden we want to try to understand the pain. Well, why didn't you understand it then when you were making the decisions that cause the pain people are in now, Ryan?
You know, I think a lot of it was ill-timed for the Democratic Party, right? This Build Back America plan where they wanted to add another $1 billion+ stimulus when we already knew that inflation was going to be a big problem. So I think that was one of the first really bad, you know, decisions that they made to really try to push that, because the American people aren't dumb, right? We realize that all the stimulus that the government's created is creating our inflation problem, and now they're trying to pin it on the fact that you have this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So I think to own it, to say, hey, look, we made some mistakes here. We probably printed too much money. We're trying to dial that back now. But I think, you know, placing the blame elsewhere, and again, just being totally wrong on inflation, you know, just like 6 months ago, I think really is going to be the bane of their existence here going into the
it's
election
interesting
season.
Because it's like, sorry, not sorry. I don't really think that they think they did the wrong thing. I think if they had to do it over again, they probably would. And you know, they essentially think that the American people have to, you know, deal with this, suffer, manage their budgets, whatever the case may be, because the handwriting was on the wall with respect to those bills. If we would have just opened the economy, let people go get their vaccines and get back to work, we wouldn't have had a lot of these problems. But this was part of the agenda for quite some time. And with Mr. Biden in the White House, I think they realized this was their chance.